Modernization project. I am Nate Ford, Director of Public Engagement at H&TB for the I-94 project. Of course, we would prefer to be with you in person, but safety is our priority in this format, though it has limitations, keeps everyone safe. The purpose of the meeting is to share information and answer your questions about the combined final supplemental environmental impact statement and record of decision. Our presentation today will cover several topics, including details about the selected alternative design for rebuilding the freeway and next steps for property acquisition. We will also have updates on the advanced bridges, both currently under construction and those scheduled for 2021 through 2023. Here is the meeting format. The first part of the meeting, approximately 40 minutes, will be devoted to our project presentation. For the remainder of the meeting, we will respond to your questions. To ask a question, follow the presentation, click the raise hand icon in the lower middle of your screen. I will then call your name so that you can verbally ask your question. Please ensure your microphone is working and you are unmuted on your end. I will explain this again at the start of our Q&A segment. Okay, before we get started, I would like everyone to take 2 minutes to complete our Title VI survey. You will find the link to the survey in the chat box at the bottom middle of your screen. The survey helps us to assess our outreach efforts among those who are affected by or interested in the project. It is required as part of the Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. We will take a couple of minutes to complete the survey before we get started. Thank you. Now I would like to introduce Margaret Barron-Dess, Environmental Services Section Manager for the Michigan Department of Transportation. Margaret. Margaret, you're up.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. I'm here to say thank you to all our community partners for helping us reach this critical I-94 project milestone. The goal of the Supplemental Environmental Review was to make the project more user-friendly for everyone by improving safety and neighborhood connections. Your feedback over the past 3 years helped us achieve that goal. We want to thank the many community members who participated in public meetings and the public hearings, and all the community organizations that hosted project roundtable events. We want to thank our local government and government advisory committees. As our project ambassadors, they brought us community feedback and served as a sounding board for new ideas. Thank you to the City of Detroit for collaborating with us on ideas for minimizing property impacts, accommodating multimodal traffic, and retaining local bridges. And finally, thank you to our partners in the Detroit City Council and the Mayor's Department of Neighborhoods. They were invaluable in helping us reach out to the community. As you will hear in today's presentation, community engagement will remain an important part of the I-94 project. There will be many more opportunities for community input and partnership. I hope that everyone who has participated so far will continue to participate and that you will encourage others to join you. We look forward to hearing from you and working with you as we move forward. And now, I-94 Senior Project Manager, Terry Stepansky, and team members, John Baldoff and Rebecca McDonald, will give us a presentation.
Thank you, Margaret. I'm very excited to talk about this project today. This is the I-94 Modernization Project in the city of Detroit, and it involves 6.7 miles of freeway modernization, and that involves reconstruction from I-96 to Connor Avenue in the city of Detroit. Now, this section of freeway was identified by experts as the section of freeway of any roadway in most need of action, of work in the region. So we're very excited about getting moving on this project and moving it forward. We've been at it for a long time, and as I said, this is a key milestone that we're going to be discussing today on how we're moving forward and how we got to where we are today. So I mentioned it as being a modernization project, and that is what it really is first and foremost, because we, as a result of our study, we've identified that this section of roadway is really experiencing far more crashes than should be for a freeway of its kind. So we've got a lot of safety improvements that we're working on, and those involve the elimination of the left-hand entrances and exits at the freeway of interchange of I-94 with the Lodge Freeway. We're widening the shoulders, inside and outside shoulders throughout the project. We are improving all the bridges, 67 bridges along the corridor. We're eliminating the, well, I said the left-hand, right-hand lanes, and we're lengthening the entrance and exit ramps throughout the corridor. And also we're flattening the curves. As you can see by the drawing, there is some curves along the freeway and a major curve down by Concord that reduces visibility, and we've experienced crashes in that area due to lack of visibility. So we're flattening the curves, and also we're creating a state-of-the-art drainage system. If you may have experienced flooding in that area, we're rebuilding the drainage system throughout the freeway. And we're also improving connectivity. Through the discussions with stakeholders, one of the things we've been hearing for years is that when the I-94 project was originally constructed, it split neighborhoods in two. So we've been very focused on making, constructing connections, both east and west and north and south throughout the corridor. We're doing that by improving the service roads in some areas, building neighborhood connectors that run north and south through the corridor, and we're also reconstructing the bridges and adding some community connector bridges that will accommodate pedestrians, motorists, and non-motorized transportation. And one of the key things about this is that we are able to do this with very minimal increase in the footprint of the project. That was another key item that we were told that we needed to do, is do this work and not increase the footprint of the project. So from bird's eye view, the project really isn't getting any larger from a real estate standpoint. And we're doing that, but we're also increasing capacity of I-94. You may have experienced the backups in the morning and afternoon on I-94. It really does need increased capacity to handle the traffic volumes that are out there right now. So we are also adding one lane in each direction to provide that additional capacity. And again, we're able to do that within the same footprint. And John Baldoff, who's coming next, will be talking about the details there. So we are very excited about moving this project forward. And now just a mention of where we, on what we've been working on. We've got, we're going to be moving forward with the corridor construction in the near future, but we have been working on a variety of bridges since, it's been 2013 we started on that. And you may have seen all the construction going on. Back from 2013 to 2018, we reconstructed the Van Dyke Bridge. And I'll just say that the reason why we're doing that is we are building the corridor, we're reconstructing the corridor, but we knew that these bridges were in need of reconstruction as quickly as we could get to them because of their condition. So we established this advanced bridge phase to work on the bridges in most need of repair. And that's the list that you see right now. And the Van Dyke Bridge has been reconstructed. We've reconstructed the Woodward Avenue Bridge, and the main driver for that was to accommodate the M1 rail project. We reconstructed the Trumbull Bridge, the Shane Bridge, and the Gratiot Bridge over those years. Then in 2019, we moved on to other bridges that were in need of repair, and those included the Brush Street Bridge, the Concord Bridge, and the French Road Bridge. And now currently under construction, we have the Second Avenue Bridge. And I just want to add, we've got some photos here, and we'll be talking a little bit more about that. But that is a key signature bridge. It's really going to add a lot of, it's going to be a showpiece of the community. We'll talk a little bit about that. But, and then we've got the Milwaukee Bridge over I-75 that's currently under construction, the East Grand Bridge, and the Mount Elliott Bridge. Now in 2021, we're going to be building the Grand River Avenue Bridge over I-94, and we're going to be removing the 3rd Street Bridge, and that's necessary for the reconstruction of the interchange in that vicinity. And we're going to be replacing the Cass Avenue Bridge, the Frontenac Bridge, the Burns Avenue Bridge, and the Cadillac Bridge. And then in 2022, in preparation for the future corridor construction, where we're adding a lane in each direction, we're going to be reconstructing the 2 Conrail bridges over I-94. And let me add that all these bridges are widened to accommodate the future reconstruction of the corridor, which we're proposing to begin in 2023. So here's some photos in Second Avenue Bridge. This is a great project going on. It's got a lot of aesthetic treatments that we've added, architectural lighting, we've got landscaping, we've got wide sidewalks, and it's called a network tied arch bridge. So it's an arch bridge. We're using the arch bridge. It'll span over I-94 without a need for a pier in the median of I-94. But it's going to be a great structure. It's a unique structure, and it's going to stand out in the community. We're really happy about that. And we're using some innovative construction to build that. Also, we're constructing it in a parking lot on Wayne State University, the Palmer Avenue parking lot, and we're setting it on things called self-propelled mobile transporters and rolling it into place. And we're doing that to minimize the disruption to traffic as we're doing it. And this type of construction really fits this type of bridge. So we're excited about moving along on that. And here's some additional photos. Milwaukee over I-75 is currently under construction. Mount Elliott over I-94 is under construction. East Grand Boulevard over I-94 is also under construction. And now here's a timeline, just to give an idea of where we've been and where we're going. As you see on the left hand of the screen, we talk about the advanced bridge construction. And during this time frame, just a little explanation of the road to the record of decision is back in 2005, we received approval from Federal Highway Administration to move forward. But during that time, in between 2005 and the current time frame, we were receiving a lot of stakeholder engagement comments. And we were told that we may need to modify I-94 and make sure that it fits the current population and traffic patterns of I-94 of the Detroit area. So we started a study, and the Federal Highway Administration said, yes, you're doing the exact thing that you should be doing. You're listening to stakeholders, but you have to start a formal study to make sure you're doing exactly what you should be doing. So based on our stakeholder comments, we started this formal study called the Supplemental Environmental Impact Statement, and we've been working towards that. And we just reached the major milestone that we recently reached was for approval from the Federal Highway Administration on our final Supplemental Environmental Impact Statement and Record of Decision. So from there, that gives us the approval to move to subsequent phases of real estate acquisition, design, and construction for the corridor, for the main section of I-94. So that's where we're moving in that direction. And as part of this presentation today, we're going to talk in detail about exactly what we heard and how we responded to that as part of the Supplemental Environmental Impact Statement project. And the ultimate goal, and the direction where we're headed is, as I said, major corridor construction in 2023, with the rest of the construction following after that. So with that, I'll turn it over to John Baldoff, who will talk in detail about some of the things that I mentioned thus far.
All right, thanks, Terry. So what I'm going to cover today is give a overview of the combined final supplemental environmental impact statement and record of decision, what's included and what does it mean. To kind of kick things off, so the combined FSEIS and ROD really what's included in the ROD. The first thing is how MDOT responded to comments received on the draft SEIS and at the public hearings. It also marks the approval of the alternative that will be built for the I-94 project, and we'll go into some detail on that. Also, the document includes final mitigation measures or commitments that will be implemented to address project impacts. And finally, the record of decision marks approval of the project to receive federal funding for construction and begin property acquisition, final design, and construction of the corridor improvements. So where to find the document? It is available on our project website at i94detroit.org. We have a link on our homepage on the lower part, and once you click that, it brings up a new page in which you can view and download the different parts of the document for your viewing. Typically, what the standard process is to make the document available at repositories within the corridor. Unfortunately, due to the ongoing pandemic, we are unable to provide hard copies within the corridor. Instead, what we have done is made it available online. We've also sent out a guide to the document, which was mailed to a few thousand project stakeholders within the corridor and placed in community locations to inform people with and without internet access. We're also hosting today's virtual public meeting for people with internet and phone access to give an overview of the document and answer questions. In anticipation for this meeting, special accommodations were available for persons with disabilities and limited English speaking ability. For those interested in getting a hard copy or printed copy of the entire document or portions of the document, you can do so by contacting Terry Stepanski, and his contact information is here on the presentation. If you're unable to write this down right now, this presentation will be posted to the project website after the meetings today. So navigating the combined FSEIS. So in the next couple slides here, I'll give an overview of what's included in the document and where to find it. So one of the big questions is what will be built? The combined FSEIS and ROD summarizes not only what will be built, but the alternatives that were considered for the project, including the final selected alternative. Details for that can be found in Chapter 2 of the document. And as a note, the combined FSEIS does reference the draft documents, but that is also available on our project website. So in addition to Chapter 2, which summarizes the alternatives considered, in Appendix F, we have detailed drawings that show a visual of what will be built in the corridor. Included on these drawings are not only the roadway improvements themselves, but it also outlines where we are proposing property acquisition for the project. So those details are included in those documents in Appendix F. So what will be built for this project? To give a visual, Terry gave a good overview of this at the beginning of the presentation. What's on the screen now is a rendering of the existing I-94 corridor. Today it has narrow shoulders on the inside, only 3 lanes in each direction. And one of the key things is it has these grassy slopes throughout the project limits. Looking at the future design, we're looking to add 1 lane in each direction to improve safety and capacity. We are also looking to widen shoulders throughout the entire project limits. So this will provide space for disabled vehicles to pull over safely off the freeway, which is not available today. And we are looking to lengthen entrance and exit ramps to give users more time to safely maneuver on and off the freeway. And as Terry noted, these improvements are done within the existing footprint of I-94, and we're able to do that by cutting into those grassy slopes and constructing retaining walls throughout the corridor. So when the project's all said and done, it'll be very similar to a 696 corridor. In addition to that, one of the things that has changed with the project is we have made additional connections over the freeway. And this was really driven through stakeholder feedback, through our number of outreach meetings and comments that we got over the past couple of years. What's on the screen here is today throughout the corridor, there's existing pedestrian bridges. What we heard from our stakeholder feedback is those pedestrian bridges aren't very inviting, and is there a better design? In the 2005 design, we were looking to upgrade those pedestrian structures, and in doing so, we'd have to raise those up higher over the freeway, and as a result, they would necessitate constructing these big long ramps for the pedestrian and non-motorized users and those with disabilities. And in some cases, you can see in the lower right corner here, there were houses in those areas where those ramps needed to be constructed, and would result in relocations of those residents. With this new design that is the selected alternative is the complete streets bridge design. With this, it's a street level bridge that crosses directly across the freeway. It reconnects the city grid, as you can see here, reconnects the neighborhoods across the freeway. These bridges are designed with a non-motorized user focus. So the roadway part itself, it does accommodate vehicles, but it's more of a residential street design, but includes wider sidewalks and in some cases bike accommodations as well. And the big thing here is you can see the property impacts are mostly eliminated. The long ramps aren't needed, so we're able to avoid impacting those adjacent properties. This is a street level view of what the bridges could look like in the future. You can see it's very wide, open, quick access across the freeway, and accommodates the non-motorized users. Another addition to the project is the Connor Avenue interchange, actually the Iron Bell Trail Bridge, which is a separate non-motorized bridge that separates your pedestrian and bike users from the busy interchange traffic here at Connor Avenue. So this bridge, and just to orient everybody, we're looking south towards the river here. Wayne County Community College is in the upper right corner. And one of the key things with this area is through our coordination with stakeholders, this was identified as one of the most important bridge crossings in the I-94 corridor. And one of the key reasons is we have the Iron Bell Trail. The Iron Bell Trail is a statewide trail that runs from Belle Isle all the way up to the Upper Peninsula. This is actually the biking portion of the trail. And here we're able to provide this separate bridge to safely get your bike and pedestrian traffic over I-94 away from the busy interchange at Connor. One of the cool things that we are able to do is accommodate a connection into the Wayne County Community College campus as well. And that was really driven by feedback from stakeholders. This is a view of what the bridge could look like, and you can see it's a much wider bridge than a typical pedestrian or non-motorized structure. And actually, we have enough space to separate pedestrians and bicycles on the structure itself. A similar connection in importance within the corridor, another location that was identified as one of the most important connections was the 2nd Avenue Bridge. As Terry noted early on in the presentation, this bridge is actually currently under construction. This is a rendering of what the bridge could look like in the future, and it was designed to be to have bike facilities and sidewalks, and you can see it's a very wide structure and also has landscaping and enhanced aesthetics across it. And working with stakeholders and the city of Detroit, the intent of the design of this bridge was really to not make it feel like you're crossing the freeway when you're crossing the freeway. And you can see in this next slide here, we're headed northbound on 2nd Avenue, and you can see it doesn't look like we're approaching the I-94 freeway. With the aesthetics and the wider features, it provides a really nice crossing here, and this is in the heart of the Wayne State campus and the Midtown New Center area. A similar type bridge is the Cass Avenue Bridge, another very important connection to the community. You can see it's a very similar cross-section to 2nd Avenue. It's not a network-tied arch, but it is a traditional style structure, but a very similar cross-section as 2nd Avenue. It has the wide sidewalks, the bike lanes, and the landscaping and aesthetics across the bridge itself. This is a street view looking towards the north, and you can see it's a very wide structure, and you don't see the freeway as you're approaching. So moving on, I think one of the big questions is, how did MDOT respond to comments made during the official comment period last year and at the public hearings? In the document in table 1-3, there's a detailed table, which includes a summary of the comments that were received and MDOT's responses to those comments. And in this section of the document, we did group similar type comments based on the topic or the theme and summarize those comments here, and then provided the response over on the right-hand side of the table 1-3. If you want to see the actual handwritten comments and transcripts from the public hearings, those are found in Appendix B of the document. You can see here, this is a snapshot of one of the handwritten comments that were received at the public hearing. All of those handwritten comments, as well as the transcripts from the court reporters at the public hearing, are found in Appendix B. So what mitigation measures has MDOT and FHWA agreed to in order to minimize impacts to the community? So what's included there are mitigation measures, which will address United Sound Systems recording studio, transit planning, landscaping, stormwater management, matters affecting travel during construction, and many other issues. Look for the green sheets in Chapter 2. They're actually on green paper, so very easy to find. And in navigating this, on the left-hand side of the green sheet covers the impact category, and there's several of those kind of summarized here in the first bullet point. And then on the right-hand side is the actual mitigation measure that will be implemented as part of the project. In addition to that, in Appendix D is the Memorandum of Agreement between the Michigan Department of Transportation and the State Historic Preservation Office. And what's included in that document is details regarding mitigation measures related to historic property impacts. Details regarding the United Sound System Recording Studio can be found in that document, amongst other historic properties impacted by the project. So what's next? Now that we got approval from Federal Highways to move forward with this project and receive federal funding, what does the future look like? So with the approval and the record of decision, as Terry noted, we're able to move forward with property acquisition and final design and construction of the corridor. The first area that we're looking to start construction on is, and in the coming slides, is from Burns to Barrett, which is the eastern part of the project. And as Terry noted, in 2023-2024 is when we're looking to start construction on that part of the project, and that will take a little over 2 years to complete that first part. We are still working on the details of the construction of the remaining of the project, but those will occur generally between 2025 and 2033. There's some final design and property acquisition in 2024 for that section, or the remaining part of the 94, but those will be coming later. Giving a little snapshot of that first freeway construction package, which is Burns to Barrett, on the eastern part of the corridor. So it's a little bit west of Gratiot, which is where Burns is, and all the way to east of Connor Avenue. And the construction will include complete reconstruction of the freeway, reconstruction of the interchanges, so at Gratiot and at Connor Avenue. The interchange at French Road will be removed, and reconstruction of the remaining bridges in the corridor. There are a couple advanced bridges in this area, but we will be addressing the remaining bridges. This will also include full reconstruction of the service drives and drainage improvements and more. Looking ahead, the remainder of the project will be constructed between 2025 and 2033. The current plan is to work our way from east to west. So we're starting on the easternmost part of the project, and from there we'll continue our way west towards I-96. And the details of that are still being worked out, but we'll continue to keep the stakeholders apprised of construction packages as they come forward. With that said, our public engagement continues. You know, everybody has been very good partners with getting the project to the point where it's at today, and we want to continue that progress moving forward. With us moving forward to construction, we will be starting property acquisition for the corridor construction. Rebecca will give an update on where we're at with that today, coming up here. We'll also be looking to get you know, more feedback and continue to keep the stakeholders apprised as we figure out the details of landscaping and aesthetic features. And one of the big things is road closures and detours as we, you know, start to get into construction. Make sure everybody's aware of what we're planning on closing and when, and get feedback on that to refine that as we move forward. I did highlight landscaping and aesthetic features, and I think one of the key things when we get into that Burns to Barrett first construction package is the Connor Avenue interchange. We highlighted the Iron Bell Trail and kind of figuring out some of the final details of that. We'll continue to engage the public as those details get refined. So with that said, I'm going to turn it over to Rebecca McDonald to provide an update on property acquisition.
Thanks, John. As mentioned earlier, property acquisition has already been in process for the advanced bridges, so the next portion of acquisition will focus on the east side of the corridor, and MDOT will be reaching out to owners directly who are impacted. So the acquisition process starts with survey and appraisal. That allows MDOT to determine the fair market value for owner compensation. Next, MDOT will reach directly to the owner, usually by certified mail or phone or email, sometimes in person, to let the owner know that yes, the project will impact them and to provide the offer. After an offer is provided, the owner has a period of time to negotiate compensation. MDOT is committed to making sure that all owners are compensated fairly and prioritizes the negotiation process to make sure the owner is satisfied. Once the owner is in agreement with the offer or the negotiated amount, the process moves to settlement and the owner is paid. However, if the owner is not in agreement with MDOT on the compensation amount, condemnation is a possible next step. However, condemnation is considered a last resort option and is typically avoided through negotiation. And just a note, relocation assistance is available to owners based on eligibility, and MDOT will walk owners through that process. So I wanted to end with a fraud warning. MDOT is aware that property owners have been receiving mail and calls from individuals making false claims about the acquisition process. Some people have even conducted seminars. Please beware of scams. As a reminder, MDOT is required to reach out to the owner directly, provide an offer of fair market value based on an independent appraisal, and MDOT is required to provide owners with all the resources and time due to them during the acquisition process, including state and federal assistance, as well as any programs that are available to them through the city. So if you hear or receive any incorrect information about the acquisition process, or if you just have questions about your property or concerns, please reach out to myself or to Terry, or you can reach out to our real estate project manager, Darlette. Our contact information should be on the screen right now. Our team will make sure that we get your questions answered. Okay, Nate, back to you.
Thank you, Trebecca. And with construction starting or slated to start in 2024, we are already getting questions about how someone can get a job working on the project. Now is the time to start preparing for a job in the skilled trades. To learn about the available apprenticeship programs, please visit the I-94 website at i94detroit.org. It is the project contractors, not MDOT, that will be hiring the construction-related jobs. The contractors have not yet been selected, but once they have been, that information will also be listed on the I-94 website, and we will include it in our e-newsletters. But as I said earlier, now is the time to prepare, so please visit our website for information about the apprenticeship requirements and skilled trades opportunities. Now we're going to get to the portion of our Q&A segment, and I want to thank the team for a wonderful presentation. And as I stated earlier, we are ready to answer questions. To ask a question, click the raise hand icon in the lower middle of your screen. I will then call your name so that you can verbally ask your question. Please ensure your microphone is working and you are unmuted on your end. And by the way, if we run out of time to respond to everyone's questions, you can still type it in, and we will make sure we give you a written response via email for those who have signed in. All right, Kevin, can you open it up now for our questions? And while you're doing that, I will pass off a question that we have received via our typed Q&A. This question is from Ms. Dessa Blunt. And the question is, by eliminating the entrance and exit ramps from I-94 to the M10 Lodge, how will drivers access the Lodge M10 from I-94? Terry?
Sure, I'll take that, and I'll clarify that. When I mentioned during my portion of the presentation that we would be eliminating the left-hand entrances and exits, I failed to mention that we are replacing those with the standard methods of it'll be a standard design of an interchange with the right-hand entrances and exits, like you see everywhere else on modern interchanges. And just an interesting fact about that is that the Lodge interchange with I-94 was the first freeway to freeway interchange in the country. It's somewhat historic, and it's built the way it is because we really didn't know the best way to build an interchange at that time because it was the first. And typically it was built like that because on a regular surface street, cars pull up into an intersection, get in the left-hand lane and go left. Well, now we know that there's a far better way to do that. And so we will be building the interchange to current standards, which is right-hand exits and entrances in place of the left-hand.
Thank you, Terry. All right, our first question is from our first question is from Ina Cheatham Moses.
Hello.
Good morning.
That is my wife. I don't know how her name got mixed up with this because
Oh,
she
no worries. No worries.
The question that I have is the Burns to Barrett Avenue construction, is that going to be a complete shutdown in both directions or just one side?
Terry?
Yeah, we're working on the maintaining traffic. We've, during the study of the project, we have been looking at the best methods to maintain traffic throughout construction. We haven't finalized the best way, but we have been studying it. And we've got a variety of methods available to us, whether it be part with construction, and in that section itself, we're leaning towards part with construction, but there may be some full shutdowns also during key parts of the project. So in that section, it very well may be part with, but we haven't completed the final study. That'll take place in detailed design. But one of the things that I want to emphasize is that MDOT certainly knows the need to maintain mobility and the ability for people to get around their neighborhoods, get down, use I-94. So what we're focusing on is to make sure everyone needs to get is able to get where they need to get to. So more to come on that, and those details will be made clearly. There'll be a lot of stakeholder engagement associated with that, and we'll clearly communicate the methods. But I just want to assure you that we'll do our best to make sure people are able to get where they need to get to, when they need to get to it.
Thank you, Terry. Our next question is from Mitch. Good morning, Mitch.
Hi. Sorry if this is a little bit in the weeds, but I'm looking at Appendix F on page 16, which shows the design or the proposed design between the intersection with the Lodge and Warren Avenue. And there's a pedestrian bridge, if you're familiar with the area there, that is north of Warren but south of 94. And it kind of looks like it's going to be converted into a street, but it doesn't have the intersections rendered there. So I'm just wondering if you can confirm that that's going to go from a pedestrian bridge to a street.
John, you want to take that?
Yeah, I could take that, Nate. So yeah, that bridge is located at where Merrick Street would be, which is an existing pedestrian bridge today, like you noted. And in the future, in the selected alternative, it's proposed to be a complete streets bridge. So it will be designed to accommodate vehicular traffic, but really its design is focused on the non-motorized user. So the current plan is to convert that to a complete streets bridge.
Okay, thank you, John. All right, again, we're in our question and answer segment, and I don't have any questions in the queue. I will take this opportunity while you're thinking about those questions and typing them in to go back to the chat portion of your screen and fill out the Title VI survey. And again, that survey really helps us to better engage with with our residents, with our end users. And we really appreciate it if you can take that time and opportunity to complete that survey. All right, we have another question. Cleophas Bradley. Good morning.
Can you hear me now, Nathan?
Yes, good morning.
Morning. How you doing?
Doing well, sir. How are you?
Good. Good. Got a question regarding the 94 project from Barrett to Burns. For property acquisition, is that public knowledge what properties MDOT would need to acquire?
Rebecca?
Yes, this is Trebecca. So we, in previous public meetings, we normally have a map that shows our estimated impacts. And so we do have a good idea of how many impacts we're going to need and who's going to be impacted. So if you do have questions about whether or not you're going to be impacted, or a neighbor or somebody you know, you can contact us and we'll be able to look that information up and get that to you. But
yeah, and sorry, Trebecca, I will say we do, if you want to go online to the document, that information is shown in Appendix F.
there we go.
All right, thank you, Trebecca. All right, any other questions? Again, you can take this opportunity to either type your question in via the chat portion, or simply raise your hand, raise the icon button on your screen, and we will be happy to answer any questions related to the I-94 project. All right, I have a question, a typed question. Will this presentation be available after the meeting? And I can go ahead and take that. Yes, this presentation will be available after the meeting. We will post the recorded. By the way, this virtual meeting is being recorded and will be posted on the website. So to answer your question, yes, that this meeting will be posted on the website, and transcripts will be available. All right, we have another question. Linda Wesley, good morning to you.
Good morning, Nate. I just have a question about the Iron Bell Travel Trail Community Connector Bridge. Is it possible that you guys could go back over that? And I'm just wondering when that is going to take place, and when will you all be having a lot more discussions with the community on that?
Okay, John, you want to take that first segment of the question, and then I'll finish it up. I'll wrap it up.
Yeah, sure. So just to kind of go over the Iron Bell Trail Bridge again here. This will be a separate bridge. And again, we're kind of looking towards the south here. So the bridge will be west of Connor. But today, for those familiar with the area, there are existing on-street bike lanes through this section of Connor Avenue, I think north of Shoemaker, which is up here on the screen, all the way to Harper. I know the city has recently removed the bike lanes that are on street between Shoemaker and Jefferson, and they actually constructed a new off-street cycle track or two-way bike facility off-street. So what our project is going to do is connect into that and keep the bikes off-street. So while they're on-street today, they're going to be moved to off-street north of Shoemaker all the way north of Harper. And then north of Harper, the Iron Belt Trail, there's an existing off-street pathway that this will connect into. So this whole stretch now, bike lanes will be off-street. This bridge also has sidewalks as well for pedestrian users, so it separates the bike users and the pedestrian users in this area. And then also we'll have a connection down into the Wayne County Community College campus. So that's kind of the details thus far with the pathway. And really that design, just to kind of give a little more context, was developed with feedback from community stakeholders in the area, Wayne County Community College, also the Michigan Department of Natural Resources, who's responsible for operating the Iron Belt Trail.
Thank you, John. And I believe the second part of that question was regarding in and around more community or public engagement, public involvement, and absolutely yes. Upcoming in 21, we have 6 advanced bridge construction opportunities that we want to engage those specific communities with. And in general, we want to make sure that, the record of decision is properly communicated to the residents, to the community, and we're going to be gearing up for, the construction, the Burns to Barrett construction. So there will be a increased level of community engagement, public involvement throughout the corridor. So, yes.
Yeah, and Nate, one more thing too about this area. We are fully aware of the FCA plant expansion and are looking at that and the impacts to traffic here. But what will not change is this non-motorized bridge, or the Iron Belt Trail bridge, that will remain in place. But we are looking at the traffic at this interchange specifically. So there may be refinements there to address the traffic impacts. And obviously, to your point, Nate, we'll be communicating those details as we figure those out.
All righty. I'm looking at our question and answer box in our chat box, and I don't have anyone in queue. So, oh, here we go. All right. Question. This is a typed in question. Are there minority contractors working on this project? And Terry, I'm going to kick that one over to you.
Yeah, there are some requirements or specifications that will be included in our construction package when we get the project, the plans, specifications, and estimates put together. And there'll be some specifications that call for that. We don't know what that is at this point.
Okay, and let me just follow up on that, Terry. So one of the models I think throughout the country in I-94 really is leading the way is the I-94 Small Business Initiative, and with that we have already procured, or we are working with minority-based, women-based, women-owned consultants to actually do the design, to assist in the design to this point of the I-94 modernization project. So to answer your question, yes, and we absolutely hope to increase those numbers during construction. Right. Okay, folks, have a cup of coffee, and we're ready for your questions. We are ready for your questions. We hope that the information that we have provided to you has been very useful. Oh, we have a question. All right, we have another. Where can I find out about detours and road closures? Terry, you want to take that, and we could tag team that one because we're going to be getting a lot of information out about that.
Absolutely. In advance, our next step on the mainline corridor is to develop the detailed plans. So we're going to be hiring designers to to develop the plans, and as part of that, we'll be working out methods to maintain traffic, to keep traffic going, and we'll define the detour routes as necessary and construction schedules. And prior to, well, during the development of the plans, we will have some stakeholder engagement. And then as we get closer to construction, we'll be having meetings. We've got our website, and you'd be using a variety of methods, public media, to communicate exactly what we're doing. So that is our idea. We don't want anybody to have any surprises as we move towards construction. So we will be using a variety of the social media and if possible, face-to-face meetings. We'll see what happens in the future, but to communicate what will be taking place as far as detours, closures, and et cetera.
Absolutely, Terry. And I will say that, you know, our mantra is we want to be able to communicate early and often. So we want to be able to get you that information well in advance and be deliberate and communicate consistently often about any potential road closures and the like. And I think Terry mentioned those different means and modes of communicating, whether they be social media, website. You know, we will be utilizing our friends, our partner friends at the stations to get that information out to you early and often. Terry, you have another question. What is going on in the Wayne State University parking lot next to 2nd Avenue? Terry, tell us what's happening over there.
Absolutely. And that is part of the 2nd Avenue Bridge, and that's our network tied arch bridge. And we have determined that the best way to build that bridge, it's about 2/3 the size of a football field, is what we're building out there. And the contractor is building the skeleton of that bridge. And so by doing so, we minimize the effects to I-94 during construction. And they're able to build the skeleton of the I-94 bridge. And the deck is going down now. They'll be building the arches in the near future. And then in the springtime, we'll be setting it on the trucks, big rollers, and moving it and setting it into place over I-94. So that's the actual construction of the bridge. And it'll be moved into place this spring. And we hope to have it open to traffic in the fall of 2021.
Thank you, Terry. All right, now we're getting some questions. I have a question from M. Lampling. And the question is, do you realistically expect the final construction phase to extend to 2033? Terry, you're on a roll, so I'm going to kick that one back off to you.
Let me start out by saying we do have a plan in our back pocket to build it much sooner. We have the ability to do that. I know there has been a lot of concern in past public meetings that what's taking so long. It certainly didn't take that long to build it originally. But first, let me, and the reason for that is this is a pay-as-you-go project. It is very costly to reconstruct an urban freeway around neighborhoods, around with all the utilities, and to maintain traffic and maintain mobility. So it does take time and expense to do that, to do it properly. So it is a pay-as-you-go, and as MDOT gets the funding to move forward and allocate the funding to I-94, then we move forward with it. So I can assure you, we have the ability to build it faster, but we do have a lot of needs, and we're balancing the funding throughout the state and I-94 to get it built. So it's funding dependent.
All right, Terry, you keep the mic because I think these are specific to you. Does MDOT still plan to utilize the design build procurement method for the corridor segments?
This is a design design, bid, build is the direction that we're heading right now. And the reason for that is that as I said, this is very, very complex. We've got utilities everywhere. We've got right-of-way acquisition that we are going through. So it is a very, very complex project. And so in order to do the things we need to do, there are risks. There's always risks associated with utility relocations, with right-of-way acquisition, and with construction itself. So we're using the design, bid, build, procurement method where MDOT is going to be responsible for the design. We'll put together the plans, specifications, and estimates, and then we will advertise it for low bid construction. So it's a process takes longer than a design build process, but we feel that because of the risks involved with designing and building an urban complex freeway, that is still the way to go. If we, in the future, if we are able to identify and take care of the risks in subsequent sections of the freeway, that may design build may be something to consider. But for this time period, it's our typical design, bid, build, procurement.
And this next question, Terry, kind of flows right into the previous question. Is the P3 procurement method still being considered?
Again, we're all conventional. It's not a public-private partnership process. This is our traditional method of construction that we're using for I-94, design, bid, build.
Okay. And one last question for you, Terry. I often have difficulty navigating the detour signs and end up somewhere I don't want to be. Does anyone double check the detour signs to make sure that they are accurate?
That's one of the things that our construction folks, keep up on that. And I'm sorry if that's the case. We really do try our best to make sure that the detour signs are accurate and they point people in the right way. I know for years and years, my old boss used to say, make sure your signs don't lie. And to tell you where you need to go and they're clearly legible. So that is our hope. And that's, we do keep our contractors on top of that to make sure they're right. And they're inspected by our field personnel. Our construction field personnel do drive the routes, and they require our contractors to make sure that the signs are where they're supposed to be per plan. And we do our best to make sure that it's completely understandable by the motoring public.
All right, we have another question in. When will you move the 2nd Avenue Bridge into place over the freeway? And will the public be able to watch from a reserved area?
Yeah, and we're proposing to do that in the spring. We'll build the skeleton, which should be complete sometime in the spring. We haven't identified the exact time yet, but that's what we're shooting for. And that was always our intent. We've worked closely with Wayne State University throughout this process. And we had hoped to set up some type of bleacher or public observation place that we could invite the public to watch that. Now with the COVID and we're reconsidering that. We're trying to find out how we can best do that to be completely safe and within the governor's requirements and the rules. But still, it is going to be quite a process. It is a slow process though. But we're looking at that, and we'll communicate that to the public, how we feel that we can let the public see what's going on, provide a spot, but still maintain our social distancing and whatever the requirements for COVID-19 are. We certainly want to maintain safety for everyone. So it's a balance right now, but yes, we would like to do that. And we were proposing that when we were looking at spots. We have been investigating that to figure out how we can best do that. We do have time-lapse photography taking place out there that it's ongoing, that we can, we do have some access to that. And more to come to see how that goes.
Nice, thank you. All right, John, question for you. What is the state of the drainage system along the I-94 corridor?
Yeah, so just a quick overview of that is we're working on the details of what the drainage design will look like. But as we noted earlier on in the presentation, we will be fully replacing the I-94 drainage system. And we're working closely with our partners at DWSD and GLWA on the details of what that final design will be. But we, as part of that, and with the replacement of the drainage system itself, we will be looking to address existing issues with flooding throughout the corridor, and then also looking at stormwater management practices and how we can better improve that, and potential implementation of green infrastructure as part of this project. A lot of those details will be finalized during final design. And right now we're working with our partners, like I said, at DWSD and GLWA to establish those details. So more to come on that, but it will be a brand new drainage system throughout the I-94 corridor and the portion of M10 in which we're reconstructing. So.
Thank you, John. All right, this is not a question, but a comment, but a great idea, and it's simply from Ms. Dessa Blunt, excuse me. Maybe the public can watch it live on TV, the Tide Arch Bridge move. So we're going to take that idea and see what we can do with that.
Yeah, yeah.
How about that? That's a great idea.
Yep.
All right. Okay. All right, attendees, we need some more questions. We're just getting warmed up. You can, you have option to raise your hand, raise the icon button on your screen, or you can simply type in at the Q&A portion of your screen as well. Again, we hope you're finding this information useful. We appreciate the time and interest that you've taken into the I-94 modernization project. I'll tell you, a lot of hard work has gone into getting it to this point, but we still have a ways to go. But we appreciate, on behalf of the I-94 project team, we appreciate your involvement. We appreciate your feedback. We appreciate your support in getting us to a record of decision. And without your feedback, we wouldn't be here today. So thank you, thank you, thank you. All right. I have some panelists that need some questions. I'll take this opportunity again to remind you that the survey, when you first came on, it is still posted in your chat box. The survey is the Title VI survey that we utilize to help us and assist us with our public engagement, public involvement efforts. It is really an important document, and we really would appreciate your assistance in helping us by filling out the survey, the Title VI survey that you can find in your chat box. All right, we have a couple more questions. Trebecca, tell us more about, there you go. Tell us more about relocations of owners when MDOT buys their property.
Yeah, so relocation, we go through the normal acquisition process. So we still have our survey and appraisal through an independent appraisal. We provide the owner with a fair market value offer that they get to negotiate. And as a part of that, we do let them know whether or not they will need to be relocated. So if you're owner that needs to be relocated, you'll be let know we'll let you know of resources to identify your eligibility for federal and state assistance and city assistance if that's available to you, and that'll be negotiated as part of your offer. So your offer would include the appraisal of your property that we would have to relocate, or if we'd have to relocate your business, that would be incorporated in that too. And then as the owner is looking at the offer, they'll be able to negotiate and talk about the things that they need to do, whether it's time frame of moving out or what their future plans are. All of that is incorporated in the conversation for negotiation. And then usually what happens is you will have a period of time to get relocated and make sure that everything is removed, but you'll be relocated well before construction happens. So there's not a ticking clock, you know, that's pressuring you along. We do the acquisition process well enough in advance to make sure that you have enough time to establish what you need to do and be compensated fairly.
Thank you, Rebecca. All right, Margaret, I have a question for you. How will environmental commitments be managed going forward?
So at MDOT, we use the green sheet, which is located in the environmental document. And that is our to-do list for follow-up on environmental commitments. And we use that during the design process to make sure that the design is incorporating any features that we committed to as part of that green sheet and the environmental document process. And then during construction, we'll have follow-up as well. And we continue to use that green sheet to follow up with construction staff and the construction contractor to make sure that they're doing the things that we committed to. So we are on the hook for following through all through the process of implementing the project. And we will be there with our green sheet in hand, looking out for environmental commitments to make sure that MDOT does what it says it's going to do for the environment.
Thank you, Margaret. All right, I have a couple more questions in the queue. This one I'll take. Will you continue to distribute newsletters on the project like you have done in the past? And the answer to that is absolutely yes. We will be re-engaging on our monthly e-newsletters going forward, probably with a hard copy newsletter middle of the year next year. Don't hold me to that, but we want to make sure that we re-engage our e-newsletter distribution to, I think, our close to 3,000 e-newsletter subscribers. And we will continue to, when we have something new, new information that we need to distribute globally, we'll do that in accordance with a hard copy, but also the e-newsletter. So yes, the answer is yes. And you can sign up to the e-newsletter. Please go to our website, I-94Detroit.org, and just sign up, and we will make sure we add you to our e-newsletter distribution list. All right, Terry, what scope of work has funding committed to, and is the rest, you have two questions here, and is the rest of the scope subject to federal allocation of funds?
Okay, sure. First of all, let me start off answering that question by saying that Michigan Department of Transportation and the Federal Highway Administration are both strongly committed to constructing the entire length of this project from I-94, from I-96 to Conner Avenue. So we are committed to the entire project. We've prepared a financial plan that shows the financing of the entire build out of the project over that time period. And so it's more of a cash flow process than committed or non-committed. So we are committed to the entire project. I don't want to give the impression that we're going to start and do some and then it's going to go away. This is the I-96 to Conner Avenue is a project in its entirety that we're proposing to build in sections. So we do intend to build the entire project, but the question is, what do we currently have funding approved for? That's the Burns to Barrett section. We got the entire funding for the Burns to Barrett section. We've got funding for the entire design of the Burns to Barrett section. We've got funding to purchase practically all of the real estate necessary throughout the whole corridor. So we've got a plan in place to build the subsequent sections, the next sections as time goes on. But it's more of a cash flow thing, not a commitment to the project. Both MDOT and Federal Highway Administration are strongly committed to this project.
Thank you, Terry. John, the north side of the new Shane Street Bridge looks much too narrow to fit 4 westbound lanes under it. Am I not seeing that correctly? Is the question.
Yeah, so actually that bridge is designed with a temporary pier. And if you're driving under it, you'll see that there's a whole piece of the bridge that has dirt underneath it, but it's an opening that's going to accommodate the future I-94 design. So there's a whole section of underneath that bridge that currently doesn't have any roadway under it. There's a temporary pier that will be removed. So it will be opened up to accommodate the future corridor once that construction comes through.
Thank you, John. Terry, back to you. Will MDOT work on other segments of I-94 in Detroit while this project is ongoing?
And we're working and coordinating with other teams in I-94 to see how we can best make sure that we coordinate different work zones. But short answer to that question is yes. We've got a lot of work to do. We know we've got a lot of improvements to do. We're going to fix the roads. And there is other projects planned through I-94, not just in Detroit, but throughout the corridor of I-94. And the trick is to get the work done, minimize the impacts to the public, keep traffic moving. So we know we need to get that work done. We've got sections of road that are in very poor condition that we want to improve. And it's difficult. It's challenging but we're going to work hard at it to fix the roads and keep the traffic moving. But yes, there will be other sections ongoing, other sections of work.
All right, thank you, Terry. Okay. All right. Well, we currently don't have any questions in the queue. And I'm going to encourage you all to think about any information that we may have missed, any information that you need clarity on, that we can take this opportunity to provide that clarity for you. Please. All right. Oh, as I speak, questions start rolling in. Thank you. When will the next public meeting be? I'll take that one. We don't currently have any a public meeting scheduled or slated, but we do know that we're gearing up, obviously, for the advanced bridges. There's going to be some targeted engagement along the corridor, in particular, Conner and 94, and also some very targeted stakeholder engagement as it relates to the aesthetics, some of the landscaping and the like that really come out of that green sheet. So we don't currently have a public meeting scheduled, but we can rest assured that when we do, we will make sure that we get the word out early and often. But nothing currently scheduled. All right, John, I have a question for you. Are you worried that increased truck traffic will erode the roads further before you can finish within the time frame?
I might need Terry to help with this one, but
I was giving Terry a break.
And Terry, yeah, go ahead if you want to answer that one.
I just want to say that we are monitoring this stretch of I-94, and we've got our Metro Region team keeping a close watch on it and doing the necessary maintenance to keep it in shape until we can reconstruct it. But we know, I mean, there's upwards of 160,000 vehicles traveling on this section of I-94 daily. It's a key artery for both businesses. It's an economic driver. It's a very important section of road. So it served us well. It was built in the 50s. We've been keeping it, we've been holding it together, but it's time. It's time to reconstruct it. We know that. It's a priority for us, and we'll do the best we can to hold it together in advance of the construction and during the construction. So we're keeping a close eye on both the roads and the bridges, and that's why we started the project with our advanced bridge phase. We inspect everything when it's absolutely when it's necessary. We do the work that's needed for the traveling public.
Yeah, and Terry, I think too, if there was any issues related to condition, that's something that MDOT would address as needed moving forward. So in addition to monitoring and inspecting, if there was something that needed to be addressed from a condition standpoint, I think that's something that would be reviewed and potentially done before reconstruction.
We got a variety of maintenance methods, heavy maintenance to buy us a certain amount of time, and we certainly would do that.
All right. Thank you. I think between Terry and Rebecca, you could tag team this question if need be. What is the latest with the sound studio?
Well, I can start off. I do know that the sound studio, first of all, we have purchased the sound studio, and the owner has had a period of time to pack up the things that she's wanted to keep and put together a relocation plan. I believe, Terry, that she's already either in the process of being relocated or she's already left. So I think I'm going to hand it off to Terry.
Sure. Yeah, we purchased the sound studio, and we purchased the sound studio with the intent on preserving and saving it. So that's first and foremost. That's what we've done, and we thought, how can we best do that? And so we've been working on a plan to save the sound studio, and we've talked to the historic experts, the State Historic Preservation Office. We've got a memorandum of understanding in place for that. But what MDOT is proposing to do, and our first step is we're looking at the possibility of moving it in order to, so that we can build I-94. We've got some time. We won't be working in that section of I-94 on the freeway itself for a little bit of time. But what some of the ideas the idea that comes to the surface is to relocate the sound studio right next door, to slide it next door to the current parking lot. And we're looking at doing that prior to construction. So, but in the meantime, until we get the plans worked out for the sound studio, we want to preserve it and make sure nothing happens to it. So we want to keep it occupied. And we did, the previous owner is now out. MDOT has full possession of the property, and actually I've got a walkthrough next week to go inside the sound studio. And what we're doing is we're preparing to use it as a real estate project office, so that MDOT is occupying it. There's activity taking place there in the meantime to keep it safe. We currently have security. We have security watching over it. But we also want to use it so it just doesn't sit idle before we look at moving it to the site next door and selling it. We don't know which process would work out best. We may sell it where it is, and with the requirement that the owner move it next door or proposes a plan. We're working out the details on that, or whether we're going to move it and then sell it. But those details are still working out. But first and foremost, we purchased it to save it. That's our intent, and we want to keep it safe until such time as we do resell it.
Okay, thank you, Terry. While I have you on the line, I have another question for you. Is the financing plan a publicly available document? If so, where can it be found?
Yes, and it is a public document. We update that on a yearly basis to make sure everything is current and valid. And I believe it may be on one of our websites, and we can provide that. It is a public document. It's the intent for the public to be able to see it. I'm not going to say right now that it is on our website, but we do have it. We can make it available.
Thank you. All righty. Between you and John, other than the I-94 M10 exchange, will the Lodge Freeway be impacted by this project?
Yeah, I can give you a break there, Terry. So we are reconstructing a portion of the M10 or the Lodge Freeway. And the reason or the driver for that is really the reconstruction of the 94 M10 interchange, and the impact of that will extend further north and south along the Lodge. And the limits of reconstruction on the Lodge are generally MLK Boulevard to the north, just past West Grand Boulevard. So there's a decent portion of the Lodge Freeway that will be reconstructed, and similar to 94, it will include not only the reconstruction of the freeway, but also the interchanges, bridges, and service drives.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, John. All right. Okay, well, we're awaiting additional questions. And again, I will ask that if you would like to answer or ask a question live, please go to the raise icon button on your computer, on your screen, in order to enable you to answer a live question. If you wish to type a question in, go to the chat feature on your screen, on your computer, and simply type in your question, and we will answer that question for you. Again, I'd like to encourage you to, if you haven't already, to fill out the Title VI survey that you received on when you joined. It can be found in the chat portion of your screen. Simply hit the chat button, chat icon rather, and go to survey Title VI, and please take some time to fill that survey out on behalf of the I-94 project team. All right, do I have any other questions? Okay. Yes, will I still have easy access to Wayne County Community College and District during construction? Terry?
Yeah, yes, we're going to maintain traffic. We can't provide, well, we're working on the details of that, but we certainly know Connor Avenue is a major corridor for both Wayne County Community College, for Fiat Chrysler, for, wow, it's in general, it's a major corridor that we know we have to keep traffic moving during construction on Connor, and also for the freeway interchange. There is when that's under construction. So we'll be working on the best way to maintain traffic and the best detour routes that we could use to specify. We've been working with, we've had meetings with Wayne County Community College, with Fiat Chrysler, with the City of Detroit, major stakeholders throughout this process to find out the best way to do it. We've got Harper on the north side. We've got other routes that we can utilize we'll figure out what is the best, and we will work on that. But yes, we certainly can't restrict access to Wayne County Community College or other stakeholders in the area.
Thank you, Terry. And while I have you, will 2nd Avenue be open to traffic?
Our current schedule is to have 2nd Avenue open to traffic in the fall of 2021. And just to add to that, we've got another bridge adjacent to 2nd, Cass Avenue, is scheduled for construction too. And when we started down this path, we know that there's a lot of activity in the Midtown area, and we didn't want to restrict traffic and cause any congestion. We want to minimize the congestion in Midtown. So we've committed to the city and to Midtown to be sure that we wouldn't close Cass until we had 2nd open. So that's the plan, is that we'll always have access to Midtown, and with 2nd opening of 2nd in the fall of 2021, sometime after that is when we'll begin the construction on Cass.
Thank you, Terry. All righty. In this question, this is pretty open-ended question, and this question for both Margaret and Connie. Can you talk a little bit about the mitigation measures found in the green sheet? High-level overview.
Sure, I can start on that a little bit. We have some areas of importance to the community to follow up on. One would be the visual effects of the project, and that would include landscaping activities, and there is a design guide for this corridor for landscaping, and we do have plans to replace trees and shrubs as well that are currently there with the project. As far as the landscaping goes, there's an intent to have green, to have some green space there. Because of the retaining walls and the width of the freeway, there's not a lot of room, but we will do what we can to make sure we put back some of the green that is being lost from the project corridor. An interesting aspect of this project for mitigation follow-up is a partnership that we have started with SEMCOG, where we are going to be looking at impacts of construction on residents in the area, the affected area by the project, and detours. And we're going to be looking at opportunities to enhance pedestrian and bicycle access within that particular construction area. So this is the intent here is to try to acknowledge that a lot of people are walking and biking in the project area, especially with the COVID circumstances that we have right now. I think a lot of people are doing that. And what we need to do during construction is make sure we are doing the maximum that we can to ensure that people can get where they need to go. If they're on a bike, if they're walking, if they're trying to get to a transit stop, that's another aspect of this coordination that's going to take place as well. So there's an awful lot of attention and planning going to all the modes of mobility during construction and how we're going to manage those for the community so that people are able to figure out how to get around. Connie, I don't know if you want to talk at all.
Yeah, actually, so that I have something to say during this meeting. I thank you very much. I just wanted to add maybe that the mitigations that are applied to projects, it's a big part of the whole environmental review process, is to first identify what the impacts might be of the project, and then apply mitigation measures to minimize all those impacts that could otherwise happen. So the green sheet is a really important part of the recorded decision on a project. So, and again, if you're interested in seeing what those mitigation measures are, there's a section in Chapter 2, and it's called the Project Mitigation Summary Green Sheet. So it really is a very important part of the whole process, the NEPA process.
All right. Well, as you were talking, both Margaret and Connie, we had a specific question for you. Concerning landscaping, will it be a focus to prioritize ground coverings rather than grass to mow? Minimizing difficult maintenance, mowing work seems like a good idea. So Margaret, Connie?
So this right now is a difficult to maintain section of Freeway. The slope that has to be mowed is pretty steep. So it's not easy. When this is done, you will have retaining walls with a flatter area on top of the retaining walls, between the walls and the service drives. And so that should be significantly easier to maintain. And our intent with landscaping is to put back trees and shrubs because they provide a lot of values for the environment and for the people who live in the community. They provide a visual buffer for folks, but they're also good at cleaning the air. They're also good at cleaning your water. So there's a lot of value with trees and shrubs in those particular areas, but we should be able to maintain that type of landscaping. That is landscaping we're very familiar with. We'll put in trees and shrubs that we know work on the roadside. We have a lot of experience there. So I open it up to anybody else on the panel who would like to comment on that.
Yeah, the only other thing I will add is we'll definitely be also working with our partners at the City of Detroit on that, especially the areas along the service drives, on what type of landscaping will work well, especially from a maintenance standpoint. But there are, like Margaret and Connie noted, there are specific commitments that are in this environmental document to put back trees and shrubs, and I think we're putting back more trees than we're taking out and more shrubs that we're taking out as part of this project. If I recall, it's a 2-to-1 tree replacement policy. So, and then offhand, I don't remember what the shrubs are, but I think it's a little bit higher ratio. So yeah, definitely we'll be working with our partners at the city as part of this as well.
Connie, any follow-up?
No, John, you were right. It's a 4-to-1 shrub replacement ratio. I guess the only other thing is that MDOT also is careful to make sure that the billboards are not covered by their plantings. So in also consideration of how tall those plantings might grow eventually. So they take into consideration lots of details about the landscaping that happens. Another thing that they're careful to do is to protect against invasive plants taking over. So that's an important item too that MDOT make sure to maintain.
Thank you, Connie. John, I have a question for you. What long-term safety and security measures were considered with the Iron Belt Trail Bridge that connects to Wayne County Community College and District?
Sure, definitely a good question. One of the, I guess, design details, not to get too much into the weeds, when looking at that non-motorized bridge is to minimize the structure itself. So instead of having an elevated structure that people could walk underneath and hang out underneath, we opted to go with placing it on dirt as much as possible and minimize those types of areas. So trying to minimize areas where, folks out or not be visible, increase visibility through the area. And I believe also on the structure itself and the freeway itself, it will be lit. So things like that are what initially went into that. I think that's an area that would be great to provide more feedback on, especially as we move into final design. I think that type of feedback from the community will be important to refining the design of that.
All right. Elnora, are you there?
Yes.
Yes. So
I am.
The question came up previous to ongoing public engagement, public involvement up and down the corridor in the foreseeable future. What are your thoughts on that? Any follow-up on that question?
Well, as the team knows, my point of view on public engagement is the more, the better, and as you say, early and often. So we are looking forward to continuing. I'm glad to hear that someone is enjoying the e-newsletter, and we are looking forward to continuing that. We have a lot to talk about, especially with all the advanced bridges that are coming up in 2021, 2022, and the bridges that are going on right now, and of course all the other areas that we'll need to discuss, the Iron Bell Trail and other pieces of the project that will require continuing public engagement. And I think I just want to also just reiterate Margaret's earlier point that public engagement is so critical to this project. One of the goals in any project of this kind is to see that it benefits the community, that it connects the community. And we've worked very hard as a team to ensure that that has happened, but we couldn't have done it without public input. So it will continue to be a critical part of the project. So from now until probably long after my retirement and younger people take over, public engagement will continue.
All right, thank you.
Not that I'm retiring soon.
Tom J., thank you for joining us today. You've been quiet because your colleagues, Trebecca McDonald and John Baldoff, really have worked tirelessly to assist in some of the right-of-way acquisitions. You have been instrumental as well. Tom, any thoughts? Any going forward? Please take this opportunity.
Sure, just to allay people's concerns. I know this has been a long process, and people may be concerned about when we're going to get to them. We'll get to them as timely as possible. And the one thing you don't have to worry about, MDOT takes a while to get there, but our check won't bounce. So that's the good news for today.
Excellent, excellent. Well, we are approaching that hour when we must close out our, I think, wonderful virtual public meeting this morning. Again, I want to thank all of the attendees who took time out of their schedules to join us. The questions were great, insightful. And again, we take this opportunity to thank you for the feedback, your involvement, and everything that you've done to support the project to help us get to where we are. I want to take this time to kick it over to Terry. Terry, you are the project manager on this project. I would love for you to give us some words and kind of close us out. Please.
Well, thank you, Nate. I appreciate the opportunity. But I am so excited about moving forward, moving to the next stage of the project. It's been a long process, but for a project of this size and complexity, we really had to do our due diligence. And this is a far better project than it was in 2005. We listened to the stakeholder engagement, not to say that it wasn't a great project back in 2005, but things have changed. As I said, the traffic patterns have changed, the population of Detroit has changed, and we really wanted to be sure that this project fits and meets the needs of all the stakeholders, of the motorists, of the residents, of the businesses. And it's a big commitment. So we wanted to get it right. So it did take that time to get it right. And through stakeholder engagement, from listening to the public to making the modifications, we really feel that we've got the project that the stakeholders, the city of Detroit, everyone wants to meet the capacity needs, to be the economic driver of the region, to provide the transportation that's needed to increase safety. So this project really does so much good that really looking forward to moving forward. The advanced bridges have turned out well. The future bridges are going to be great. The increased capacity is going to be fantastic. The connectivity, both east and west throughout the corridor, north and south. We were working closely with the city of Detroit and the mayor's plan for walkable communities. We wanted to fit that in. It was so important to reconnect the community, and I think we're achieving that. We've come a long way. There was opposition, and there's probably still some opposition to the project, but we've made so many advances, so many improvements to the project that it really is, we feel, a great project that's going to satisfy most everyone's needs. And thank you all that have participated in the project. Thank you for coming to our public meetings. Thank you for reading our newsletters and all the other social media that we're working on. Our website is out there. We do our best to keep it up to date. Again, that's I-94Detroit.org. There's a lot of information on that. We're going to continue to post updates, to post photographs. There's work-related things that are on there. There's a lot of great information. It's interesting. So check that out, and we certainly will be in touch throughout this process. Thank you.
Thank you, Terry, and thank you, panelists. Mr. John Baldoff, thank you. Ms. Rebecca McDonald, thank you. Special thank you to Margaret Berendez, Connie White, Tom J, our panelists, our very knowledgeable panelists. Great job, panelists. You, great job, great job. I want to also take this opportunity to thank Mr. Kevin Welsh, who you don't see, but is behind the scenes, and he is our technical guru who has done yeoman's work. Thank you, Kevin. I appreciate you and all of your assistance. I want to take this opportunity before we close out to remind folks that we have another public meeting this evening from 5:30 to 7:30. Just in case those who didn't have an opportunity to make it, please pass the word that we hope you found the information very useful. This was a very, very productive meeting. But again, we have another meeting this evening for our evening folks from 5:30 to 7:30. And the links have been sent out and are, I think, been posted everywhere. So please pass the word that if you want to, for those of you who know someone who may be interested, please join us again this evening from 5:30 to 7:30. So listen, again, our last thank you. I want to thank you all for joining us today. This has been great. I love the questions. We hope that you found the information useful and informative. One last shout out for our Title VI survey. Please take the opportunity to fill out the Title VI survey. We would appreciate you doing that if you haven't already before the meeting. Thank you for joining us today. We wish you all safe travels. Continue to be diligent, continue to be safe, and we will continue to stay in touch with you. And please stay in touch with us. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please go to our website, our Facebook, our Twitter, call us, Facebook us, Twitter us, leave a message on the website, and we will be happy to get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you very much. all and have a good rest of the day. Thank you.
Thanks, Nate.